You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, this is Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Wow, my voice is cracking. What's going on there, man? My voice is cracking. I just can't hold it anymore. I'm going to have to give up my opera career, clearly, as it were. So there you go. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. As always, we have the most brilliant minds, the most amazing authors. And when you listen to this show, you get a feeling that washes over you of brilliance and intelligence and just, it's like manna from heaven of education, intelligence from the sky. And of course, I'm hitting the button twice accidentally there as I was doing the whole manna from heaven. If you're watching this on YouTube, people at home are listening on it. I go, what the fuck is going on? So anyway, that's the most important reason you should listen to the show. And always, further show your family, friends, and relatives, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, and TikTok. We're over there on TikTok trying to be cool as well. If you get a chance, go put a 5-star review on iTunes. We certainly appreciate the people that do that. Today, we have an amazing gentleman and prolific author on the show. His newest book out of a whole mess of books that he's put out, and he's got a huge following of people that just love his stuff. But this one's new, so you're going to be able to catch the first launch of this new character in this new series that he is putting out. It's a new book coming out July 11th, 2023. Farrel Coleman is on the show with us today. His newest book series, Sleepless City, a Nick Ryan novel, is going to be coming out next month, and we're pretty excited to have him on the show. He's excited as well, from what I understand, to be on the show. I had to tell him to tap down his energy a little bit because he is just motivated like nobody's business. Reed is called a hard-boiled poet by NPR's Maureen Corrigan and the noir poet. Let me see if I can get this right. Noir poet laureate. Those are tough words there. Big words. In the Huffington Post, he is the New York Times best-selling author of 31 novels, including 6 in Robert B. Parker's Jesse Stone series, short stories, poetries, and essays. Didn't you know poetries is plural? It is now. What do they call it? Poetic license? I just took poetics license. Anyway, whatever, man. I flunked second grade. In addition to his acclaimed series characters, Mo Prager and Gus Murphy has written the standalone novel Gun Church and collaborated with decorated Irish crime writer Ken Bruin on the novel Tower. He is a 4-time Edgar Award nominee in 3 different categories: Best Novel, Best Paperback Original, and Best Short Story. He's also a 4-time recipient of the Seamus Award for the Best Pie Novel of the Year. PI novel. Okay, there you go. I flunked second grade. I can't spell. He also won the Audie, McCavity, Barry, and Anthony awards. This guy's won so many awards, I can't even pronounce half of them. That's how many awards he's got. Welcome to the show, Reed. How are you?
I'm good. After a beginning like that, how should I be?
There you go. Well, I hope you're good because you did it. It's all under your belt. Give us a .com so people can find you on the interwebs, please.
ReedColeman.com, very simply.
There you go. Now, you've written a lot of books. You've got a lot of different fingers in different book pies, as it were. Do they have book pies? I don't know. Maybe that sounds like something we should invent. And you've got a few different series of characters. What motivated you to want to start a new series, start a new character, and build on this new book you have, Sleepless City?
Poverty.
Yeah. How much is your agent charging you? Don't answer.
Oh, I under the threat of death, I'm not allowed to say.
There you go. And probably contract. I just got an NDA notification from your attorney. So tell us about this new book. Give us like a 30,000 overview, if you would, please.
Well, sure. Why don't I just read it to you?
Go ahead. Let's do it. We got time.
No, you mentioned some of my previous characters, Mo Prager and Gus Murphy.
Mhm.
I've written several series, and the characters I tended to have at the center of those series were stumblers, were people who were uniformed cops but were never detectives. And when circumstance forced them to be detectives, they didn't have the requisite skills.
Mhm.
So they stumbled around a lot. They're good-hearted, well-intentioned, very determined guys, but they were, like me, a stumbler.
Stumblers. That sounds like what I used to do when I used to drink.
Well, I've done that as well. So I was kicking around an idea for a new character.
Stumbling or kicking around?
I stumbled after I kicked it around.
Oh, in that order. Okay.
So I was kicking around an idea with my agent, whose name is Shane Salerno, who's a fairly famous screenwriter.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and when the subject came up is, I'm tired of writing stumblers and characters I kick around. And we were discussing it, and we came up with, wouldn't it be nice to write a character who's actually competent?
Huh?
Actually more than competent, really skilled, competent, confident, nothing like me, in other words. And I thought, well, that's really attractive to somebody who's spent most of his career writing characters who are not incompetent, but they don't have the requisite skills to do what they're doing.
Uh-huh. And so, isn't this offensive to your prior characters, though? I mean, doesn't this hurt their feelings, maybe?
Well, since they only exist in my head,
Oh,
and that they might be offended, but I really don't care unless they start paying me. I
that's
don't
how I
care.
feel about my personalities. So there you go. So give us a rundown. Tell us, who this new guy is. Give us a little more in depth. What adventure is he on as a protagonist, and what sort of dude is he? What's his moxie, his
Yeah.
character?
Well, Nick has done two. He was a cop, and he did two tours in Afghanistan, and has come back to New York City with let's just say, a sharper notion of the difference between right and wrong. And his idea of right and wrong is a lot different than the average guy or a woman's idea of right and wrong. And he sets out to take care of somebody who is a known child molester
Oh,
and
wow.
murderer, but who has gotten off on a technicality.
Mm.
And so he decided this just needs doing. That's the kind of guy Nick is. And when he hatches the plot to do it, let's just say the tables are turned on him, and he's offered a job, an interesting job, to be the prince of the city, but to
Wow.
work in the shadows. And so
Oh,
that's sort of what Nick's gig is.
wow. Is it kind of like an Equalizer gig, or some of that
Yeah.
vengeance, or?
He's part Equalizer, part Ray Donovan, part James Bond, part Jack Reacher.
There you go. So what drew you to start this new character? We kind of talked about the what we kind of talked about the setup of it, but what was your fascination with building out this new character and giving him the attributes that
Well,
he
I
had?
know you've spoken to many authors, and one of the
Mhm.
things that I know tons of authors, and one of the things we all enjoy is world building.
Ah, yeah.
And the thing that I got to do with Nick is to build a world in which here's this really competent guy in a very mumbled, jumbled up world, and he's a guy who's going to set things right. And it's a New York City. It's a New York City I know. Sometimes, there's a kind of Kojak view of New York City or a television view of New York City. But if you know New York City at all, it is to know it's 1,000 different places.
Yeah.
And so Nick's world is both a world of the little guy and of the wealthy, and everybody in between. So that was kind of the appeal of putting this type of character in that world.
There you go. Now you've written a series of a lot of different books. One's I think up to 13. Do you have a pretty good vision for turning this into a elongated series like some of your other books?
Well, as long as they keep giving me contracts for them,
Oh, there you go.
I will keep
It's all
writing
about,
them.
it's all about money, right?
But on a less practical point of view,
Yeah.
I could foresee this going on and on. But I am not an outliner, and I do not write big overarching story arcs. Like my longest series is actually 9 books.
Oh, wow.
From book to book, I didn't really know what was going to happen in the next book until I sat down and started writing the book.
Ah, well, so this must have been fun though, because you're not stuck in, some old model that you've built, and you can kind of be like, hey, let's build a whole new world. Let's come up with some new things, and you could kind of build that foundation out for what you're going to do in the future with this character.
Well, that's the thing about world building in a novel or a series is you find out that sometimes the world you built for your character can be self-limiting. And this world that I've built with Nick in it is not at all self-limiting. In fact, he has freedom to do almost anything.
Wow.
Whereas previous characters, I would have made some different choices if I had known when I started it what I knew at the end of it.
There you go. There you go. So, there's the byline from it. When you're in trouble, you call 911. When cops are in trouble, they call Nick Ryan. And what does that mean? You want to expand on that a little, or
Sure.
we don't want to give anything away?
I mean, like I said, if you want, I'll read the book.
No, we just want to tease it so people go buy it.
No.
You gotta tease them.
As I kind of referred to before, is Nick is given the job of kind of being a prince of the city. The things that get laid on his doorstep are not problems yet that the world knows about, but only a very few people in the city know about. And it's his job to make sure that no one but those few people ever knew that the problem existed.
There you
So
go.
he's kind of a fixer.
How did you make it so he could be like a legal fixer? Do you want to disclose that, or do we want to keep that
How
under
did I
wraps?
do that? Well, one of the great things about fiction is, I can make stuff up. So, no, I try actually to work within the framework of the law. But we all know that people get away with stuff all the time we know that doesn't seem legal or that doesn't seem right, but they get away with it. And I won't bring up names and I won't bring up politics, but
it does seem like rich people who can hire more lawyers than most people can.
Yeah,
they seem to get away with more stuff.
They do
just across the board, Wall Street, everybody.
Yeah, it's just the way things are.
Yeah, seems to be.
But the people who are Nick's bosses, who by the way, he doesn't know.
No,
they're kind of faceless, nameless people to him.
He
has a handler, and even the handler's name isn't his real name. So it's trying to work within the framework of the law, but the people who he works for, they are kind of the law. So that's how Nick gets away with what he does.
And he's got safe houses all over the city, and so it's kind of does it have a grittiness of New York City, would you say, to it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think you can live even on Park Avenue and not realize New York City is a gritty place.
Yeah.
Just by its very nature, New York is a gritty place. I'm sure you've been here. You walk down the street after 8 o'clock at night and there's piles of garbage in front of the fanciest buildings in the city. There are rats the size of taxi cabs.
It smells great when when all the garbage is out. It smells great.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a grittiness that just comes with New York City.
Yeah.
And Nick's world can get pretty gritty, but one of the, I think, appealing aspects of the book, other appealing aspects of the book, is Nick has an old flame who lives on Sutton Place, who was from a very wealthy family.
Mhm.
And so Nick operates, like I said before, in many different worlds. And when he's offered this job, they do say to him, sometimes it will come in handy to have somebody who knows the difference between a salad fork and a dinner fork.
Ah.
Yes.
So it might be a little, is there any tuxedo James Bond wearing any, or is just maybe a little
Not in book,
highfalutin society?
not in book one,
Uh-huh.
but Nick does drive. However, Nick does drive a very cool car.
There you go.
He drives a 69 GTO, a black 69 GTO.
There you go. That'll get you around. That'll get you places.
And he also has a classic 70s Norton motorcycle.
All right. Damn. So, I mean, did you grow up in New York? What was your history in growing up?
I grew up in the Coney Island section of Brooklyn.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so did you find that, your experience and knowledge and growing up in the city really helped you paint a better picture and descriptions in the book?
Obviously, wherever you grow up leaves a kind of big impression on you, negatively or positively. Where I grew, and it's often mixed.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up in Brooklyn in the 60s and 70s definitely had an effect on me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but when I was 15 years old, I watched somebody die of a gunshot wound right in front of me.
Holy
Yeah,
crap.
oh yeah, it was an experience that I will never forget, and I think it kind of helped shape my views of serious crime.
Yeah, we call that Fridays around here.
Yeah, but as a 15-year-old kid, it made a huge impression on me.
Yeah, I can imagine someone going that young and stuff. You know what I miss about New York? Pizza.
What?
The pizza.
Oh, please. Do you know the next time you're in New York, I'll take you on a pizza tour.
I will hit you up on that, seriously.
No, I do. I take Ryder friend. Last summer, I took Lee Child on a pizza tour.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I take and whenever Ryder friends come into the city, if they want, I take them on a pizza tour, but of a pizza tour of my local sort of old neighborhood pizzerias, not the ones that get press, or famous.
Yeah, you're the locals. You know the good ones.
Yeah.
You know the good ones. We had John Katzimatidis on the show for his book, and he's got a couple bucks. He promised that if I came out, he would show me around. I don't put any money in that, but you know what I mean. But we could all bum around together and do a pizza tour.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Pretty sure he likes pizza.
I love it. I mean, if people have asked me what my last meal would be, and it's a choice between a cowboy steak and DeFara's pizza.
Yeah, there you go. So, what do you think of Chicago pizza? No, I'm just kidding.
No, you can ask. I worked for Pizzeria Uno for 10 years.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. And I was one of their restaurant openers.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
So which one's better?
Oh, please. Actually, the only pizza I found that competes with Brooklyn pizza or New York pizza in general is New Haven, Connecticut pizza.
Really?
Oh, it's amazing.
Connecticut, wow.
It's amazing.
Does it really come down to the water? Like they say that the bagels and stuff in New York are just better there because of the water. It has something to do with the water. Is that part of what it is? Or
the only thing I'm an expert at is writing books. And
there you go.
I
thought you were an expert at eating pizza.
Well, that I'm prodigious at eating pizza. Yeah, I think the bagels and pizza here are great, but it could be the water. It could be proximity to me. I don't know.
I know there's a bagel place there that they're opening in LA, and they're like literally shipping the New York water that they make the bagels with out to LA to make the same sort of thing. So there you go.
I can tell you what, it'll taste better than the water. I mean, I like the Desert Southwest a lot, but the water in the Desert Southwest, unless you like the taste of sulfur, is not wonderful.
There you go. Well, I think in California you get that sandy water beach sandy water salt. I don't know what that. I'm
Yeah.
just making stuff up. Anything more you want to tease out in the book before we go?
Well, hold on.
I mean,
Here's
you're
the
going to
cover.
read it, but
There's the
there you go.
cover. I promise not to read it, but there's the cover of it. No, it's always interesting. I mean, 32 books in, I've done this, these sorts of things a lot.
Mhm.
And what I'm always wary of is giving too much away.
Yeah.
I think if you like my other books, you'll love this book, because one of the challenges of a new series is, how do you keep your authorial voice, even though you're writing a different character? Or the difference between writing a series and a standalone is one of the things I always am concerned about is, does it still have my voice?
Yeah.
And I've been told that, yes, people who've read my work, they recognize my authorial voice in this.
There you go. Well, people love your voice. I mean, that's what your fan base really loves. Right? They love your writing and how you put things and all that
Yeah.
great stuff. So,
I'm at a loss to I'm at a loss to explain why, people like what they like. And I've given up trying to, I know a lot of authors who they do like sabermetrics on their books, like baseball. They try to figure out what the audience wants, what they like in their book. I write for an audience of one,
there you go.
me. And I hope if I like what I'm writing, that they'll like what I'm writing. If I'm excited by what comes next, I hope they'll be excited by what comes next.
There you go.
You don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 30 plus books in. Evidently, something's working.
Yes, either that or people are desperate for a certain niche of books.
Well, they seem to love it. I mean, novelists do really well. We interview a lot of novelists on the show, and people love novels. They love the suspension of reality. I think because reality is kind of not that fun these days. They love heroes, I think, too.
Yeah, this is funny, is I'm not big on heroes. I'm big on Nick, as my description of him sounds very heroic, I think. But what I think what readers will find when they read the book is that Nick has what makes people interesting are their flaws.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I like you, Chris.
I have a lot of flaws. You should see them.
me
Ask any of
too.
my ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, I mean, flaws are what make people interesting, right? That's why I don't find superhero movies very interesting.
I
As
don't
pretty
either.
as they are to look at.
Yeah.
I don't find them very interesting because their characters, are either have only one flaw or no flaws at all. Nick has plenty.
And the CGI thing tunes me out a little bit. I mean, I get people who like the comic book Marvel series and all that stuff, but to me, I like grittiness. What are some old good New York movies from?
The French Connection.
The French Connection. My God, what
The Godfather.
I was so upset when who was the Godfather, of course. Who was the great actor? Gene Hackman in that one.
He's still alive.
I was so upset when he retired.
Yeah. I think he lives in Santa Fe or Taos.
Yeah.
And he wrote mystery novels for a while, actually.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Oh. One of my favorite movies is it's the early one with Robert De Niro. It's Martin Scorsese's early one.
Mean Streets.
Mean Streets. That's a real raw sort of New York movie.
Scorsese, talk about somebody who was very affected by where he grew up in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's Martin Scorsese was deeply affected by where he grew up.
And Taxi Driver, too.
Yeah. They're gritty. When you think of gritty movies, you immediately think, New York or London.
Yeah.
Actually, for gritty movies.
Yeah.
Pretty movies, you think L.A.
Yeah, that's true, huh? It's pretty, but there's something about the grit of a movie. There's something that gives it that what's the word I'm looking for? The grit, basically.
Yeah.
A
The
texture,
je ne sais quoi.
A texture is je ne sais quoi. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even say it right. But yeah, the texture that makes it, and it gives it that feel, especially like on film or when you read about it. It just it just makes you it livens. It's an accent that livens up the environment.
Well,
And
the real test for a gritty movie or a gritty novel
Mhm.
is the ability to transport the viewer or the reader.
Mhm.
That's what I find amazing about reading
No.
is, look, it's a book. Is there anything more artificial than, you're holding this in your hand? At least when you're watching something on television
Yeah.
or a movie, it's washing over you. You're not really participating. But
Mhm.
in a book, you're holding this thing in your hand, whether it's a Kindle or a book or whatever, and yet you're completely transported if the writing is good.
Yeah. You know what they should do is add smell-o-vision to books where, you can smell you get that beautiful spring, summer, urine garbage smell, and
Oh,
the outside of it kinda feels like a trash can maybe.
well, now Manhattan smells of marijuana.
Oh, does it really?
Oh, it's incredible.
Better than urine, that's for sure.
Yeah, beats urine and auto fumes. The smells of my youth.
Are
Yes,
you guys legal there in New York now, aren't you?
it is.
Yeah. Why
It
isn't it
is.
legal nationwide? Come on, man. There you go. Well, it's been wonderful to have you on, Reed. Thank you very much for coming on.
Well, Chris, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
I thought this was just the warm up, man.
We're just warming up. I mean, we can sit
Yeah,
here. We're gonna run out of things to do, and you will have to read the book. So there you go.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
the one thing
Chris.
about novels. We can't get into the middle and the ending. I mean, you're welcome to tell me the ending if you want, but it
Uh,
might ruin things.
yeah, just quickly. I once did a new authors are very dangerous, like first time authors,
Uh-huh.
because when you ask a question like, give us a little sample of the book or give us a bill, they want to tell you the whole book.
Yeah.
And I once did an appearance with a guy who had his one novel out, and I had to grab the microphone out of his hand and say, "You do want them to buy the
You
book."
wanted to buy the book, or you gotta tease it out. Yeah. You wanted to buy you can't tell the ending and stuff like that. And of course, I think in this book, he gets taken away by aliens, right? Is that the ending? No, I'm just
Shh,
kidding. I'm
come
just making it
on,
up.
you
I'm just kidding.
promised.
That's not the ending, folks. I made it up. Anyway, aliens. So there, because we all know they live in New York too. I think they're in the Trump Tower, something. I
Oh,
don't know.
my neighbors
Your neighbors are
back in Brooklyn. Yeah.
there you go. There you go. Well, continued success in this new book. Give us a .com wherever you want people to find you on the interwebs.
Okay. Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. But best place to find me is hiding in my bomb shelter in the back of my reedcoleman.com. REEDCOLEMAN.com.
There you go. Thanks for coming on, Reed. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, and hope I get to come back.
We'd love to have you come back. Come back for all your books. We've had all the Jack Ryan people on and all the different
Yeah.
variations. I mean, it's crazy. So we've got some of the people like the Tom Clancy people. They just come on every 2 months with whatever the different
Yeah,
thing
I
is.
know a lot. I know Mark Graney.
We've had Mark on a couple
Yeah,
times.
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And the pizza tour offer is real.
I will hold you to that. This
Yeah.
is a binding contract according to the thing. And then what's his name? Katsimantitis, he offered something similar. So we'll just call a party. We'll just get in a convertible and just get drunk and smash and eat and drive around, stumble around New York City.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great way to get mugged. So there you go, folks. Order it up where refined books are sold, but remember, stay out of those alleyway bookstores because you might get bit by a rat and need some tetanus shots and rabies shots. Order up where refined books are sold. Sleepless City, a Nick Ryan novel, will be available for purchase July 11th, 2023. And if you order it now, you'll be the first one on your block or your book club to see you read it. Also, watch, we've got another great novelist come on the show. You may have heard of him. CNN's Jake Tapper will be on the show with us in July or August. So check that out as well. Also, be good to your friends, neighbors, relatives. Tell them to go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, and TikTok. We're trying to be cool over there. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys.